We're going to talk about where the 7 in a 7th chord comes from. Before we do that, we need to briefly talk about triads. Triads are made up of 3 notes. For example, the notes G, B, and D make up a G major triad. You can double any of these notes an octave higher or lower, but as long as you're still looking at G's, B's, and D's only, this is still a G major triad. Another important point about triads is that the notes have to be stacked in thirds when you reduce them down to a single octave. This is a triad with notes stacked in thirds. If we take this bigger G chord and reduce all of our G's, B's, and D's to within an octave of each other, our notes are stacked in thirds. The parts of a triad are labeled root, third, and fifth. The root is the note the chord is built on, and the other 2 notes are the interval of a third and a fifth above the root. And that's how they function no matter what octave they're in. So any G in this G chord is going to be labeled as a root, any B is going to be labeled as the third, any D will be labeled as the fifth. When you build a 7th chord, you stack another third above the fifth of the chord. And this note is a 7th above the root, and that's where the 7 in a 7th chord comes from. The most common type of 7th chord is just called a 7th chord, and this chord is called G7. This G7 is a dominant 7. I've got a video on why it's called dominant 7, and I'll leave a link for that in the description. There are other types of 7th chords. I'm going to get into those in another video, and when I do, I'll post a link in the description. Meanwhile, for more guitar lessons, music theory, and solo guitar arrangements, please subscribe.